Success is often defined differently for different sectors.
Mick, thank you for coming today. It's good to have a chat with you. I think we wanted to open up and talk about what kind of design lasts in architecture.
There's a number of ways to think about that. You know, if you go way back into architectural history, into Italy and Greece and places like that, there's buildings that have been there for hundreds, if not thousands of years, and they're still in use today. And you look at a situation like that and you would think that that is architecture that lasts, which it is, but what makes it last? And sometimes it's the ability to continually reuse the building or the space as time goes by for different purposes other than what it was built for. So that's kind of one way to look at it. You know, you look around our metropolitan area here and examples of architecture that you think will last. To me, it's more about places that people want to go. So a lot of times the architecture is sort of the backdrop and frames the space that people spend their time in. Sometimes the architecture is a feature, like if you think of the Meyerson downtown Dallas or the Bass Performance Hall over in Fort Worth, places like that. You know, the architecture there is pretty upscale, and so they become sort of the feature that's going to be there for a long time and the thing that people remember. But sort of in our everyday environment, I think what makes architecture last is what we do with the space out in front of the buildings, around the buildings, the space where people spend their time, that's going to make the time spent there memorable, so that they want to come back, not only for the use which is there, whether it's retail or office or you know, whatever, entertainment, but because they really felt a sense of excitement about being there.
So do you think that back in Rome that they were thinking about the human experience as they're walking through an area as much as the design of the building?
They probably were, but I think that the buildings themselves were probably paramount. Really, I think the thing that is more attractive to people today is the experience that they have while they're there. Part of that may have to do with the building. Each developer wants their project to be successful, but success is often defined differently for different sectors. So, for instance, industrial, they're less concerned about the way the building looks than, say, office or retail.
As you know, sometimes we get developers that have a lot of ideas, great ideas, and they may want something that may not actually be a good fit for that area. In your experience, how would you say that you help guide our clients in situations like that?
Almost every client comes with ideas about what they want to do on their project, and that's really good. It's really helpful for us. You know, 25 years ago, South Lake Town Center was the newest thing in the market. And for the next 5 to 10 years, every city and then every client working in those cities that wanted a mixed use, you know, entertainment focused development wanted a South Lake Town Center. South Lake Town Center can't be done every place. It just doesn't fit every place, and the demographics in that area allow a development like that where the demographics in another area may not. So we have to listen to our client and then help guide them to get something that meets their expectation, but also is, in our opinion, going to be successful in the market. Another example is a number of years ago we had an opportunity to do a project in Rockwall. It's called the Harbor. The tenant wanted a retail restaurant focused development that was on the shore of Lake Ray Hubbard, but also had a lakefront presence. We took advantage of the fact that they had the lake frontage, so there's space out there with areas for kids to play. There's a space out there like a little amphitheater where they can hold concerts. There's a boat arena, a marina there where boats can come up and park, and people out on the lake, they can pull in, dock, they can walk up to one of the restaurants, and then sort of elevated a little bit above the lake on a little bit of a bluff, we lined that with spaces where they could put retailers and restaurants. I think today it's heavily populated with restaurants because it is sort of a destination, and you can come to a restaurant, dine out on the deck overlooking the lake. You can kind of see what's going on. In that particular case, we advised the client. I think they listened to us, but they, at the time, were interested in filling up the space. In time, it evolved to what it probably should have been in the first place. So we always listen to our clients. We try to give them a solution to whatever it is they're trying to develop that they can afford to build, and it's appropriate for the market that they're in. I think every city, especially if they don't have a place like South Lake has in South Lake Town Center, they want a place that becomes their identifier. So that when you talk about Mansfield, people think of this place. Or when you talk about Salina as or Prosper, they think about this place, and this place is the place where people want to come and gather.
How do you discern what is the difference between timelessness and innovation?
Sometimes it is tough to discern. Even in the United States, different parts of the country require maybe a little different approach to it. So here in Texas, if you're going to provide a public space where people can gather, it needs to have some shade. Now, if you go up north in Minnesota, maybe shade is less important, but the fact that during 5 or 6 months of the year they may have snow, you need to try to figure out how to work around a situation like that. If you're doing something in California, you can go 12 months a year, every day of the year, and go out there and enjoy it because the temperature is more conducive, the sun isn't maybe as intense. So it just depends on kind of where you're doing a project. But I think the key is, no matter where you're doing it, is to build in some level of flexibility. So you don't want to over-design something so that it can only be used for a few different types of functions. When you think about space that people gather in, there's certain things that you and I might think about because they're relative to our lifestyle. But not everybody has the same lifestyle. So the space that you're creating, you want it to be relevant to a wide variety of people.
So let's say there is someone from out of town who's trying to bring that style into, let's say, from California to Texas. How do you guide them? Because a lot of times they'll show up if they've got ideas. A lot of times they might be set on it. How do we steer the course of the Titanic, if you will?
It's not always easy, and sometimes we're not able to, but I think most clients that we work with come to us because they have some respect for what we do, and they know that we've been around a long time, and we've made a lot of our clients very successful. You can use examples of projects in the area that are successful, and a lot of times you can isolate different reasons why they are successful and then apply them to something that they're going to develop, and try to steer them by using other examples. Cost is always an issue. It may be that what they want to do is not cost effective, and you can help guide them in that direction based on that, that situation. But a lot of times they're bringing those ideas because they are successful in other locations. So how do you distill the idea down and then sort of reframe it in context with where you're at and what you're trying to do? So I think that's one thing that we try to do, and I think we've been somewhat successful at being able to do that.
To add to that, often when we are meeting with new clients, we have big group sit downs, right? We call them charrettes. We sit down, we kind of break that stuff down. Can you expand a little bit on what we do during those meetings and how we gather the information we need to tailor each project?
We always have an initial meeting with our client to really gather information from them and try to really understand what's driving their desire for whatever it is that they want. We really have to understand what's driving their needs and their desires. So we try to flush that out initially in a meeting with them, and then progressively we will present to them what we think they're talking about and get their feedback and to see if we're actually moving in the right direction. Initially, it starts with master planning, especially if it's a mixed use or a bigger type of development. Most of our clients have some ability to visualize in their head what they're trying to tell us. A tool that we use to really help them understand and see what we think they're talking about is using technology like 3D modeling, and we have programs where we can raise things up out of the ground and put them on the screen, and they can see them, and we can move around between the buildings, and we can stand back and look at it overall, or we can get up close to it. Really helpful for the client to be able to see if we are interpreting their desires the way that they think they translated them to us. By doing that, then we can work together to either move things around a little bit, or change the scale of different things, or add some amenities that will help enhance whatever it is we're trying to do. And then as we continue on through that process, we can look more closely at the architecture on each building and see if they like the result of that. There's no patented solution that works in every situation. So we have to listen to our client and try to put ourselves in their position, in their place, and understand what it is they're really saying to us. We present something back to them and allow them to reflect on what we're showing them to see if we've understood them correctly.
Well, thank you for sitting down and giving us a few of your thoughts and sharing some of the experience that you've gone through while you've been at this firm, and a lot of really great insight. And I love learning from you, so always good to have a chat.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if I'm yet an expert, but I have had a lot of years here and experiences with different projects, and I've learned a lot from them, and really learned from every new project that we do, because everyone is different.